From a very young age, it has been our ambition to travel the world, to explore exotic locales, and to document the wildlife that lives there. As we stepped out onto the sun-soaked shores of the British Virgin Islands, we felt within us the opportunity to realize this dream. The British Virgin Islands is a small group of lush tropical landmasses set in the crystal blue water of the Caribbean Sea. They are absolutely filled with wildlife, and we spent a number of days filming as much as we could to help show our audience the diversity of animals that calls this incredible place home. To kick things off on this Caribbean adventure, we're going to take a look at some of the island's most common and most fascinating residents, the reptiles of the British Virgin Islands. We will be releasing many episodes from the islands, and each one will focus on a different group of animals that we encountered. This episode is focusing on the common lizards and other reptiles that we ran into just about everywhere we went on location. So let's take a look.
Alright guys, so here we have a Puerto Rican crested anole, and they're a fairly common species throughout the British Virgin Islands, but believe it or not, they're actually not native. They were introduced here from Puerto Rico, but they've totally taken over the islands now and they've really made it their home. Now they spend most of their time up in the trees, anywhere where there's a lot of dense vegetation for them to seek shelter in. That's also where they do most of their foraging, and you can see they have this nice drab brown coloration that helps them blend in with all the trees here so that predators can't spot them from afar. The Puerto Rican crested anole is an insect specialist. Like all anoles, these guys are insectivorous, so he's out here scanning the trees for small flies and moths and anything he can find out here. Now, anoles are diurnal, so this guy is only active during the day, and we actually see them sleeping a lot at night, which is really cool. It makes them a lot easier to catch. Now, one distinctive thing about all male anoles is they have a large flap of skin just under their chin called a dewlap. Now, the dewlap is very brightly colored. In this individual, he has a nice red ring and then also some yellow towards the top. Now, the male anoles will use the dewlap to signal to females during the breeding season, so he shows off his dewlap and shows how big and handsome he is, and they also use it as a dymatic display to protect against possible predators. When we first caught him, he was showing his dewlap, opening his mouth. There we go. See that?
Anoles are naturally preyed upon by birds and feral cats, and see anything larger than themselves as a potential threat. We are always very careful when handling these little guys, as they possess an ability called causal autonomy, which means they are capable of dropping their tails off if they are threatened by a predator. This meant we had to handle them very gently, and we were lucky to have many great encounters on this trip. By far the quickest species of reptile we came across while exploring was the Puerto Rican Ameiva, a species of lizard in the whiptail family. Now, their name suggests their Puerto Rican origin, but they are also distributed throughout much of the Caribbean, including the British Virgin Islands. Puerto Rican amoebas are instantly recognizable by their iconic blue sides and whip-like tails, and we encounter them on almost every island we visited. Unlike anoles, who inhabit areas of thick brush, amoebas prefer loose, sandy environments, so we often found them hunting on open stretches of beach. Now, amoebas are omnivorous ground lizards, so they'll be foraging for insects and small fruits, but will also scavenge for dead animals or food scraps in urban areas. Amoebas are lightning quick, and at the slightest disturbance they will dart into cover to evade predators, which for these guys includes feral cats, snakes, and American kestrels. Even though we never managed to catch one, it was still awesome to encounter such an incredible species of lizard on our adventures.
Now this is absolutely one of the most exciting moments of the trip. We have finally come across a little snake. This guy here is a Virgin Islands Racerlet, one of the more common snake species in the British Virgin Islands, but any snake is extremely difficult to catch out here. Now the Virgin Islands Racerlet is a diurnal species, meaning that they're coming out during the day, and their favorite food is actually small lizards like the anoles we've been seeing. So what this little guy is out here doing is searching among all the rubble and plants, looking for small lizards to feed on. And it's coming on to dusk, so he's actually not that active right now. You can see he's really placid, and this is actually the first time we've handled this snake species, so it's an absolute privilege to get to work with one of these guys.
From the moment our adventure across the British Virgin Islands began, finding and catching reptiles was one of our biggest goals. We knew that filming such speedy animals was going to be a challenge, but thankfully reptilian life is plentiful throughout the islands, and we managed to get some incredible species on film. However, anoles and amoebas aren't the only reptiles to call these islands home. We also filmed some rarer species that we'll be covering in an upcoming episode, including one of the most critically endangered species in all of the Caribbean. Comment down below what you think that species might be. If you're excited to see more Caribbean reptiles, as well as a host of other fascinating island wildlife, leave a like on this video and be sure to subscribe now so that you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Stay tuned, guys! More exciting BVI content is on the way very soon.